Well, hello and welcome to Generational Wellbeing with Dr. Lumfrendi. I am honored to have you joining us today. If this is your first time, hello, I'm Dr. Lumfrendi, board certified pediatrician and founder of Generational Wellbeing. And I'm honored to be joined by Dr. Vladimir Bereyev, who is also a board certified pediatrician and lactation consultant and a father who is passionate about providing high quality care and personal care for children. And today we're going to talk about cultivating healthy eating habits. So thank you for joining me today, Dr. Vlad.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me to join the conversation, Dr. Loom. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Awesome. Well, before we get started, tell us what you do and why you do what you do.
So, I am a concierge general pediatrician, and I specialize in diagnosing and supporting children on the autism spectrum. And the reason why I do pediatrics is because I feel that in pediatrics, we have to be at the top of our game in terms of preventive health. Because when you think of prevention, you think you want to prevent problems before they arise. And before a lot of individuals' health problems arise, they're children, they're in their childhood. So
Right.
that's what drew me to pediatrics.
Awesome. Awesome. And just coming on to what you said, a lot of people have this misconception that the problem starts from the point of diagnosis, which is really not true. It's from early on, from habits and things you've done early on. So at the point of diagnosis is not where it starts.
Absolutely. That's very well said. I couldn't agree with that more.
Awesome. So we're talking today, again, based on preventive care, we're talking today about cultivating healthy eating habits early on. So why is that important?
It just goes off of what you just mentioned, that the problem begins before the diagnosis. So a lot of the health problem, the number one health condition in this country, in the United States, is cardiovascular disease, heart disease. And one of the biggest contributor to cardiovascular disease is our sad American diet, standard American diet. It's sad.
Right.
And that diet has had a lot of outside influence to get us to eat certain things that are not in the best interest of our health, even though they may be very fun to eat, very enjoyable to eat. They're going to lead to cardiovascular disease. If you know how that old saying goes, show me who your friends are and I'll show you who you are. Well,
Yeah.
show me what your diet is and I'll show you the heart attack you're going to have in about 30 years from now.
Right. Right. And we don't pay attention to that, thinking all of these are due to our genetics or maybe something else other than what we're eating.
Yes, absolutely. Like these other factors do play a role, but you can't ignore the number one cause, right? Like, yeah,
Right.
there's other causes of death in the United States. There's cancer, there's COVID, and other things like that. But number one, perennial all-star, number one every year, the MVP of health problems in this country is cardiovascular disease, heart disease.
Yeah, and we're seeing it too with kids where again the nutrients are needed for their development, for their growth and stuff. So what you're actually eating or what your kids are eating can affect not only that down the line heart disease, but also their development, their cognitive function and stuff. You may have a kid who's having even behavioral issues, maybe because something that they're actually eating that's triggering all of those behaviors that you may be experiencing if that happens to be your case.
Yes, absolutely. The eating is one component of a larger, healthy style of living overall. With my families, I always emphasize the five pillars. In my view, there's five basic pillars of health, and it's your nutrition, what you're eating, your sleep habits, your physical activity, your relationships, and your management of the day-to-day stress that comes with being alive.
Right. That's an important aspect too. But so if you when with your parents now, let's say you have a parent who has kids, they've been eating this that American diet and they come to you and they say, I need help. I know it's important, but how do I start introducing these healthy habits to my kids?
It's an excellent question. A lot of times, even a step before that, A lot of families won't even be ready for the change yet. So we have to sometimes use some motivational language to try to figure out what is it that they want out of their lives. If they really think about their priorities, they'll realize any dream that they have in their life, health is a big component to accomplishing anything.
Right.
Yeah, all of your dreams are contingent on your health first and foremost.
Yes.
So once we get families to accept that, and they come to us with a, okay, I'm ready to start making changes. What do I do? For me, I love keeping things so light and sweet and simple. I don't like to throw textbooks at people. That's not a nice thing. I wouldn't want someone to throw a textbook at me. So if
Yes.
someone does have the motivation and the interest to actually make a positive change in their life, first, I congratulate them that they're taking this first step. I reinforce that the changes that they're making are going to lead them to greater happiness and fulfillment in life. And then, of course, I tell them we're going to do the number one strategy that I prefer, and that is to start small. There's been a lot of research showing the benefits of using your own habits to your advantage, right? Which is something that I've heard you speak about before, the power and the importance of habits.
Right.
So I'm here to preach to the choir and to jump on the bandwagon saying that habits are important. Over 70 to 80% of the activities we do on a daily basis is out of habit. We're not thinking about what we're doing. We didn't plan on doing that. It's just a routine. Habits save our brain energy from having to think about having to tie your shoelace or having to drive your car in the morning, each step involved in that process. We just are doing things automatically on autopilot most of the time. So if we can do things automatically most of the time that could be harmful to our health, like the sad diet, we can also change that to make it beneficial to our health, to the happy diet. I don't know what's the alternative to the sad diet. So if we're going to start building new habit, how do you build a new habit? That's the next question. So wait, okay, Dr. Vlad, you tell me I have to start building a new habit. What do I do? Well, step one is let's figure out where we are. What's our starting point? Because everyone goes on a unique journey in their life, and they're starting at different points. I work with you where you are. If your starting point is, for example, I've had a family recently, so I'm going to use them as an example.
Right.
Doc, my kid eats French fries, chicken nuggets, and juice. This is the three staples of their diet every day, day in, day out, Monday through Sunday, and twice on Sunday. So 8 days a week. This is what they eat. All right. So I tell them, all right, we'll work with you there. This is not going to be a drastic shift from chicken nugget all the way to eating a whole food plant based diet tomorrow. It's not going to happen that way. You can forget expecting to jump from point A to Z. There's B, C, D, and E. There's alphabet in between A to Z that we have to get you through. We have to guide you through each step. And how do you move one letter at a time? Very simple. The first step is just doing a very simple, tiny habit, and you repeat it and you consistently reinforce it in your mind to continue doing it. And then it becomes easier and easier. And then you build upon it. You start with a foundation and then you build the building up. So the first foundation is I give them a very, very simple assignment. I tell them, your first step, I want you just to see if you can get your child to hold a vegetable in their hand and then put it down once a day. Step one, that's it. That's your habit. And then we take it from there.
Amazing. I love that because I also hear in clinic a lot of times I'm like, I gave them this broccoli and no one eat it. As though if I introduce it to you for the first time, it's foreign, especially if this kid has not had that particular vegetable. With anything, they have to use their senses. Let's touch it, let's feel it. Okay, sometimes they smell it, and sometimes they kind of put it in their mouth. It just feels weird to spit it out. Doesn't mean that they don't like it. They're still trying to get used to it. Yeah, so small steps like you rightly said. And also
And
understand.
also,
Mhm. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to mention, like you said, uh, we know that we don't give up on someone because they didn't do it right the first time. If we did that, nobody would ever be walking. Because when you first try to walk, you fall. Well, you don't give up after the first time you fall. You can keep on trying because you know you got to walk eventually.
Right, right. Actually, we celebrate it, right? We celebrate that first step, but we have to learn how to celebrate holding that vegetable. Oh, you did a good job actually holding it in your hand. Oh, you did a good job even tasting it and spitting it out rather than adding the stress on the kid. Why do you spit it out and stuff? You have to eat your vegetable and stuff.
Absolutely. The environment that you create for your child is really important. So if they feel stressed anytime that they're being offered vegetables, they're not going to enjoy that experience. And if they feel that there are certain other foods that are a reward food for them, they're going to want to get more of the reward. They're not going to really want to embrace a healthier eating style because if whatever we reward, we continue to do. We just reinforce that habit, right? So just like
Right.
you said.
Absolutely. Speaking of environment, how do you help parents then to create that positive, encouraging environment around meal times?
Yeah, so I start with once again, I love it simple,
Yes.
and I start with the basics. I say environment, so we have to be role models for our children. I have yet to go into a home or have a family tell me this is how our dinners go. Everyone is eating well balanced whole food plant based food, except for one child is not, and they're having to. This is not the way it goes. It's they usually see certain things that are modeled, they get reinforced, and if there is a certain food that's just not available to them, or let's look at something like uh, families ask me, okay, how do we remove the pacifiers from being used so often for my infant? For them, like, well, pacifier, you put in the trash can, no more pacifier. If it's not available in the environment, how are they going to get a pacifier? We just fix the pacifier situation, and it's a similar thing. If what we see stimulated, the stimulus in front of us, if we're constantly surrounded by an environment that's promoting us like a piece of fruit on a table that's lovely cut up and looks very tempting for us to go and to try it out. That's a very different environment than having your fruit hidden inside a fridge in the back, rotting, looking black and brown, giving you PTSD every time you think about eating fruits. So those are. I mean, there's many more components that go into environment, but those are just some example. As I'm sure you have many other examples yourself.
Right, right. And that's huge, right? Making sure the foods that you really want them to eat readily available, where if they want to snack, that's what they see. And another thing you touched about too is the modeling, right? If they see you eating and enjoying those fruits and vegetables, they will eat those fruits and vegetables too. But if you take it like, oh, I'm just gonna have to eat my vegetables today, and they think it's something that is not good that I have to, but I don't want to do. So that modeling is really key as well, like you said.
Yeah, and then that's kind of unfortunate that we're in this situation now. It's become generational where the parents today were children when they were forced to eat their vegetables. So as adults now, they feel forced as well. They're forcing themselves to eat their, and that comes off negatively on the children. And that's been a pattern that a lot of times when we counsel parents on how to help their kids, we're really counseling them on how to help themselves first, because there are a lot of ingrained habits that we have in parents through no fault of their own, but it's just circumstances and environments that we need to help them address themselves first. And we're really helping them with the entire family because it's not possible to achieve something like a dietary changes and nutrition changes in a child unless you address the whole family together at the same time.
Right, right. And it takes time. And like you said, it's ingrained from your childhood. There's certain things I still say to my kids. I'm like, oops, I shouldn't have said that. If you finish your food, I'll take you to somewhere else. I'm like, well, we're rewarding overeating. So those things are ingrained where it's time. It takes a lot of time and just being mindful of that is really key because trying to switch immediately, like you said, can add to the overwhelm. And once you're overwhelmed and frustrated by the new process, it's easy to give up like, oh, it doesn't work. So being patient with yourself is key as well.
And I have personally been a guinea pig for my patients to try adopting new habits on myself and to show them that it is possible. So there was one point back in 2018, and I said, okay, I've had difficulty adopting a healthier eating style myself, but I'm going to use habits to make it easier for myself. I'm going to apply all the principles that I have learned, and I did. So at that point, I was able to bring my weight down by like 33 pounds, and it has not returned since 2018 to present day because I continue to every time I use all the principles. You fall off the
Yes.
bandwagon, you don't beat yourself up about it. You just get back up and start again the next day, right? Because it becomes ingrained. It gets easier and easier over time. In the beginning, it was very difficult. I had a lot of mistakes and blunders and challenges. And I talk about it. You know how they spell the word success, right? In the beginning, you suck at it, you suck at it, you suck at it, and then you get success. That's how it's
I
expressed
love
spelled. Beginning, you do anything, you're bad at it. You're horrible. You're supposed to be bad at it. That's
it.
the
Right.
definition of beginner. And then accepting that beginner mindset that you're going to be bad at it and having fun with that, knowing I'm not going to do a really good job, and that's cool with me. That goes right in line with my expectations. That leads to success later on.
Right. Absolutely. I love it. I love all of it. Are there any other additional tips you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, that's a great question. Let's think. So, with regards to eating and building up small habits, these focusing in on habits is important because it's not doesn't only apply to eating; it applies to every aspect of our lives, right?
Right.
So, the tip there is people will start to notice that once they're able to adopt a new habit in one facet of their life, all of a sudden other facets of their life will begin to change as well because they're all interconnected.
Right.
It's like the human body. It's not going to be one part of the body that doesn't affect the rest of the body because all the blood flow is connected. The nerves travel all across our body. The venous return goes to the back from all over our body. So the tip there is uh, just because something seems small uh, doesn't mean it's not having a humongous and massive impact. And this is a message, by the way, so for all our listeners out there. I have
Yeah.
to remind myself of that every single day too, because it is so easy to forget it. And we live in a world, and our brains are wired this way evolutionarily to look at the negatives, to look at evidence that things are going bad. We have a negativity bias. I got it. Dr. Loom has it.
Yes.
Everyone out there is going to. We
Right.
tend to look at it, everything from a negative perspective, not because we're bad people, not because we're sad or depressed. We needed to look at things from a negative standpoint, just in case there was a lion hiding behind the bushes, ready to kill us. We had to be cautious because the ones that weren't cautious, that would just jump into the bush from our ancestors, those their genes are gone. They're no longer alive. We're left with the brains of the cautious individuals that didn't jump into the bush, that thought, well, maybe something bad might happen to me if I do that. Let me have a negativity bias. So it kept us alive. The thing that was keeping us alive back then is hurting us now. Because now, anytime we don't get things our way, we don't achieve success right away, we'll have a negative doom and gloom bias and say, oh, this must not work. This is horrible. I give up.
Right. Right. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So don't give up. Every little bit counts. So, Dr. Vlad, where can people find you? Someone has heard this. They were looking to maybe work with you. Where can they find you?
That's an excellent question. So my handle on social media as well as my website are all the same words. It's SI, like Staten Island, rivertownspeds.com. That's the website, and that's the handle for at SI Rivertownspeds on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of those places you can find me.
Awesome. And YouTube too. I saw you started a YouTube channel,
And
Autism Talks, right?
YouTube
Is
as
it
well.
Autism Talks?
It's understanding autism.
Understanding autism. Yes, yes. So if you're a parent with a kid who has been diagnosed with autism, I know that can be challenging. Dr. Vlad has a lot of information for you. Thank you again for joining us today. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Dr. Lum.